Good morning, everybody. We are still not going in the fields. We are close. I think if we wouldn't be having such humid nights, potentially today we might go. But it's been really muggy. And the peas, they just suck in moisture. Like the plants suck in moisture so readily. As well, there is still some green peas in there, so we want them to dry out a bit. They should fairly quickly, so we're not going. We do have some more peas that we're going to be spraying here probably this afternoon. So with this old girl, and I shouldn't say just this old girl in particular, but with most of our equipment, what I really like to do is I like to clean it first. I know it sounds stupid, but I like to clean the cab and usually pressure wash the outside first, because then you can start seeing, oh, well, all of a sudden there's some little dusty looking tracks or something, or you know what I mean, in the cab, or there's a leak, or you know what I mean, oh, there might be a mouse in the cab, or oh, there might be an oil leak. Well, this guy has developed a leak. I must have pressure washed the dirt around the seal that was holding all the hydraulics in, because the tractor hadn't even been fired up since I washed it. You could see right about here, she was dripping pretty good last night. It was attached to the auger. Went to move that this morning, and as I turned backwards to look over my shoulder, I could see that little streak on the ground. Go, oh, what's that? And yeah, so the PTO seal's leaking. So we're going to tackle that today. This 4650, she gets a lot of the bitch hours around the farm here. She does a lot of the work with the grain augers, like the bigger augers, the 1385 and the 1370. That's not to say that the 4040 or my uncle's Kubota, they both do that as well. This guy, yeah, a lot of the time is on the bagger. The other is my uncle's Kubota. And this guy's often, well, pretty much only on the extractor, and gets a lot of hours with the grain vac. It's a solid tractor. This used to be our main tractor at one point. It pulled the 30, like when I was young, probably 8, I think Dad got this. I'd have to ask him exactly. This thing's got like 13,000 hours on it now. I would have to ask Dad how many hours and what year he bought it, but it's been fairly good. It probably needs to be taken in to get a good overhaul on it. I know on top of this PTO seal, there's a brake inside. I think it's, or a pressure switch or something, and I believe it's under the cab. All it does is it stops the PTO from rolling over. It rolls over all the time, not with any force. You can actually hold it with your hand. And one of the, which is this guy, one of the remotes here is buggered. Now, I say that, I might actually turn this guy, put an actuator on this guy. Kind of waffling on doing that, just because I think it'd be cool. Other than that, and the air conditioning doesn't work. Other than that, she's a pretty damn good tractor. Well, not really sure what to think, but that's it, partially apart. Well, Dad got the call that his coolant hose that was on back order finally came. It's not leaking. It's just that there's an idler up there, and the tensioner of that idler was poking into the end or the middle of the hose and kind of just wearing. And it wasn't even worn down to the braid yet, but it was just like, ew, that looks ugly. Not really sure why it did that. I feel like it shouldn't have, but Must have just got some sag into it or something. So we'll just make sure we support it. Pretty easy to do. Didn't even know that was a problem. So that's the real payoff of sending these kind of things away for those red light inspections. So a lot of times we look at the one and just, despite this is the 8240 and right behind the grain truck, right where you can't see it, actually kind of backed up behind the bins now, is my 8230. And yeah, it's a lot of, hey, well, they're not exactly the same, but here's things to look for. And it seems like every year they find something else, which is good, I guess. Anyways, Dad's off for that. We got the 4650 all back in order. I was talking with Dad. So he told me that he believed that when he got the tractor, the fuel pump was turned up to be the equivalent of a 4850, which I think it takes it from 150 or 160 horsepower up to 190-ish. So yeah, she's got some grunt to her, that's for sure. So Dad's away doing that, and I'm going to change concaves. These are stock concaves. We've been debating on getting some aftermarket ones, even just a set or two. So what we have here are small wire, and you'll see there's some peas in there. We just took a swipe out in the peas the other day just to make sure everything was kind of working right. More so, we wanted to make sure the float was working right for the flex headers. And then you'll see a slotted and they call a large wire or wide space. Actually, that is a large wire wide space is what that is. You can get a small wire with wide space, or with, standard spacing with the large wire. They call that a true large wire or just a large wire. And those are good for really small crops such as, canola, flax, canary seed. But what you got to know about concaves is that if your crop is good and dry, most of the threshing is pretty much done by the time it gets to here, and probably 90% total, like they say half-ish, is done between your feeder housing and the front concave. Should be about 90% done by the time it gets here. So for wheat, we've got a lot of cleaning area to it. And then kind of just a spot for, stuff to drop through is the way we look at it. What we're gonna do now is do pretty much a polar opposite. Last year we ran the wide space to the front for peas. Then we did the slotted. And then we did the two small wires at the back. The reason for that is the peas, you don't want them catching in there like that. Some of these peas are a bit smaller and they will fall through, but you get larger peas and then they get pushed through that and they split. So they'll separate out, and peas are nice and large and heavy that once they get over to the sieves back there, the air will do the rest of it. So you don't need to worry about too tight of a job on these guys. So the plan is both machines have the same setup. In fact, my machine last year had the two sets of wides at the back, and Dad's had two sets of slots at the back when we got it. So we kind of did some flippy flop stuff so that they're the same. So we took a set of my wides and moved them into here, and then we took a set of Dad's slots and moved them to the other one. So I'm going to do this. It's actually not that bad of a job. It used to really suck back in the 80 series. Was it the 80? Definitely the 60 series. I'm pretty sure it was the 80 series as well. They had one-piece elements that were really long, heavy and awkward, and they had to like you had to feed them under and then hook them up on a bar on this side and then lift them up into position. And the doors weren't very big. This is a lot better job than what it used to be, because you can see these are only half concaves, and they're a lot more manageable. The only one that's a little bit of a prick is this one, because of this is the refeeder, I think. Yeah, or rethrasher, whatever they call it, I think. I'm trying to remember. Or dirty grain return. Anyways, that's what I'm gonna do today. So on both machines, well, at least until Dad gets back, this to there, those two back there. Well, took a lot of swearing and a fair bit of cunning, but we got that one in. These guys are fairly easy to do. That one, you're just kind of at the end of your reach and at the end of your leverage, and you can only get in a really tight, narrow window here, and yeah, it's just no fun. The other side's a fair bit better. So now I just got to swap concaves 3 more times, because there's a half side here, half side there on each combine. I don't know if I really explained it, but the reason we set these up for peas is that these back two are not adjustable, and they pretty much run full open. So it's just there to be beating up the crop residue. All of your cleaning and your separation is done here. Essentially, before it gets to the end of here, like I said, 90%, 90 to 95% separation happens here. Whew, that sucks. It sucks to do this job. At least it's not 38 degrees. I say that this side isn't as bad, but I always forget this drive line being right in the way. It's not horrible, and it's not nearly as bad as dealing with the back one over there. So as you can see, you're fairly wide open there. Good morning, everybody. Today is August, oh, we're getting late. On you, 25th. Ugh. And we have not harvested an acre yet, but today could be the day. We are just going through some final touch-ups and tests, stuff that we probably normally wouldn't even have time to do, but it's really late for us in general. I know we've had years like this before, and it's a battle. I haven't had it personally, but I've been involved with it. Just cleaning the windshield on this guy. We fueled him up. We moved combine over there. We're gonna try this afternoon, I think. We wanted to get going this morning. It was really foggy, and the peas are so eager to, the stalks and the leaves are eager to grab that moisture. Like even last night at, say, I don't know, probably 8:30, I think I looked at the, 8:30, maybe 9:30, I looked at the weather station, and it was saying like 88% humidity. So I was like, it's gonna be foggy, and it was. So right now, Dad just ran to get a cabin filter for this thing. We ordered it last week, and both of us have forgotten to pick it up for like 4 days now. So we're gonna do that. Dad finished spraying the peas up here, except for he's probably got about 150 acres, 160 acres of good peas. Late, but really good peas. And I think we're going to try and keep that stuff separate. Probably not even spray it. We might desiccate it so that we've got some seed for next year. So we're trying to make up a plan, waiting on the agronomist. He had a couple conference calls he had to deal with this morning. Then they're going to go take a look at some of the crop down south, make sure we're in the right stage that we can start spraying, possibly in a couple days here. And we're probably going to end up pre-harvesting the canola and the durum down south. And then that would be everything done down south. And then we're waiting on things to turn. And I would guess that would mean in the next 10 days to 2 weeks, so probably in the second week of September, we'd be able to start combining canola down there. I would expect the durum to turn a little bit faster. So it's going to be a gong show. We got to do the peas, but not all of them. Like I said, there's still some good stuff up there that we're going to wait on. So what's really going to suck is that we got to change the concaves back to put the small wires in the front for lentils and canola and wheat. And then eventually when we come back to do the peas, we will have to switch the concaves back to have the large space and the slotted at the front to do essentially a quarter or a little better quarter section. And then we got to switch back, and that'll probably be about the time that the spring wheat is ready, and hopefully some of this later canola is ready. It's not going to be a lot of fun, but you know, 2 guys, we can change concaves out in each of these in probably half an hour. It's just not a fun job to do. It's dusty, it's awkward, and I smashed a finger pretty good yesterday. It surprisingly it's tender, but it's not bruised. A little bit of bruise there at the knuckle. It's definitely tender. Yeah. Varro, and this stuff had 2,4-D ester 700, because it's going to be peas next year.
Okay.
And then the other stuff had, yeah.
No, you're. Huh. Oh shit! I think this is ready to go.
Yeah, I was
I'm looking for
places. Yeah.
I know I was looking further south. There's definitely more greener.
Okay.
This is a little bit of a
Kind of.
Yeah. We can go that way anyway. We can look on the heavier stuff at the other end
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, there was a little green stuff here. This is ready, but let's just take a look at that.
Yeah.
Ready for spray. Yeah.
That's great, like on here.
Yeah.